In this video, I'm going to show you how to create your own NAS using Open Media Vault. Now, you don't actually need this super powerful hardware. As you can see, I'm running it on an old Core 2 Duo system that I got for free. So you really don't need anything super powerful. Just about anything Core 2 Duo and newer will work. So what you want to do is you want to plug in the CD or the USB that's going to be containing the Open Media Vault ISO. I've already got that done. In fact, I'm using VMware for this so I can show you guys how to install it without having to point a camera at the screen. But yeah, anyway. Once we got that done, we're going to go ahead and power it on. And we're going to hit enter on install. Now you're going to see some text, and then you'll eventually get to this screen. We're going to select English, United States. We're going to use American English for the keyboard layout. It's going to attempt some network configuration. You want to make sure you do have Ethernet plugged in during this. I'm going to choose our host name. We're going to leave that as the default. It's going to attempt some network configuration. You want to make sure you do have Ethernet plugged in during this. I'm going to choose our host name. We're going to leave that as the default. Make that to be whatever you want. You want to do that for the domain as well. But now we're going to have to set a root password. Going to re-enter it to verify. Going to do the central time zone. That's where I live. For time zones not in there, I'm sure there's a way to do that after you install. And then it's going to copy up the data. Copy it over to the install drive. This shouldn't take too long because I'm using VMware to do this on an SSD. Okay, now we're gonna choose the country we need for the package mirror. I'm in the United States. Gonna go with the default here for the archive mirror. Gonna leave that blank. For the default bootloader, we're gonna make sure you pick the right drive. I only have one drive on this VM right now, so we're gonna do dev SDA. It's gonna have to. It just installed Open VM Tools because it detects that it's in a virtual machine. It should be able to grab most of any drivers that it needs, as long as you're not running it on something super obscure. Anything Pentium 4 or newer will be able to run this, but I would advise to go with at least a Core 2 Duo due to the power efficiency. But anyway, now that our install is complete, we're going to hit continue. And it's going to reboot here. It popped out the virtual CD, but it's going to make sure you unplug your installation drive. I'm going to let this go ahead and go. And as you can hear, it's up. We're gonna I have to change the setting on the network controller. By default it's set to NAT, but in order for this to work in a VM, we're gonna have to use bridge mode. And so we may have to reboot in order for that to change. Okay, so as you can see, this right here sometimes happens. It assigns it an IP address that's IPv6 only. So we may have to go into OMV first aid here. And so what we're going to do is we're going to type in our login information we set during setup, which in this case is root, my password. Then we're going to do OMV dash first aid. We're going to configure the network interface. We've only got one option here. We're going to configure IPv4. You may want to use a static IP, but for the sake of simplicity, I'm just going to do automatic. And we're not going to configure IPv6. We are going to configure Wacom LAN. That may be useful to some people, but in the case of Open Media Vault, there's not really much of a way to do that. As you can see, it's been successfully changed. If we clear the screen and do a reboot again, hopefully it will display our IP. Okay, there we go. And so you see this IP right here. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to type this into a web browser, which I'm going to do right quick. I'm going to switch. I'm going to switch to the window. Okay, here we are again. I was having an issue with the virtual machine, but fortunately I have a disk in my actual NAS that hasn't been set up yet. So we're just going to use my actual NAS, which, as you can see up here, is a E8400. We're gonna use this as an example. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to disks. This right here is the drive I haven't set up. This ST1000V. You want to make sure that this is the right drive. If you're doing something already set up, you don't want to overwrite one of your shared drives. We're gonna go ahead and wipe it. As you can see, the Open Media Vault running on my NAS is a bit newer than the one that I used, because I've since updated this, but I haven't re-downloaded an ISO file. But anyway, now that that's formatted, I'm going to go to File Systems, Create, ext4. Going to select the only empty device, which is the one we just erased, the ST1000V. We're going to have to have it write inode tables. This takes a long time on mechanical drives, so we're going to have to wait for this to finish. As you can see, it has finally finished. So we're going to click on close. We're going to mount it. And then we're going to apply our configuration changes. Okay, now we're going to go over to the services. Actually, wait, no, shared folders. And create a shared folder on that drive. As you can see, this is it. I'm going to call it Seagate 1 terabyte. And then we're going to go to services SMB/CIFS shares. Gonna create a share in that shared folder. If you want to remove the password, you just set this to guests only. And then we're gonna go and apply it. And this is only if you're not if you're using a password on yours. You see, you'd want to create a user. You see, I've already created one. You'd have to set a username and password, and then use that to connect to the share. So once that's done, We're going to open up Explorer, and then we're going to click on Network on the bottom right column. And we're going to go to our NAS here. We're going to right click on the Seagate 1 terabyte. We're gonna map it. And there it is. It's right here. As you can see, it's mapped twice for some reason. But if we remove it, and then refresh Explorer, that should go away. But sometimes you have to reboot. But anyway, as you can see, I'm gonna grab a file. Copy stuff to it, no problem. There we go. So, yeah, that's it. As you can see, it's a few days later because I forgot to shoot an outro.
Emotional damage!
But anyway, if you like this video, be sure to like it. Be sure to comment if you have any comments on anything in the video. And I'll be sure to subscribe if you like this kind of stuff, because that's all I do here. And be sure to share the channel with your peers. Bye for now.